And now a Mexico moment with Nate and Alexis.
Happy Friday, fuckers. It's another Mexico moment with Nate and Alexis. I'm Nate, and this is my wife, Alexis.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
And it is episode number 13.
Nice. Lucky number 13.
Yeah, well, 13 is kind of a sign of how this last weekend was.
Yes.
It was a little unlucky.
Yeah. And that's also his age.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yep,
But the first kind of thing, it didn't really happen to us. It happened to a neighbor of ours in our apartment building.
Yes.
And so we woke up, I can't remember what morning it was. And I think around 12:30 at night, or maybe it was 11:30. I can't remember. But
Whatever.
one of our neighbors, we have this group chat going. And so we just can all talk into it. Like I've said before, everybody's super helpful with each other. Hey, can you grab my package? Hey, does anybody have, an extra phone charger? Mine broke, or whatever.
It's very convenient. We all use WhatsApp. That's where the group is through, and it's
Right.
our building WhatsApp group, and it's very helpful.
Yeah. And so this neighbor lives in the very top floor, and it has 2 levels. They have their apartment. It's basically like ours, but then they have they're in the penthouse, so they have another level on
There's
top of it.
two penthouses in our building.
Right.
So.
And we don't really know this girl.
No,
and
haven't met her yet. Haven't seen her yet.
and her husband. I
They
think
just
lives
moved in recently. Too.
Yeah, or maybe
Not
boyfriend.
too long ago. Husband.
But she just posts these 4 pictures, and it's of the inside of her apartment, and it's trashed.
Yeah.
Like
girl clothes everywhere.
thrown.
Exploded.
The drawers are pulled out.
Closet doors open. There's a chair in the middle of the floor. Just stuff all over the bed. Everywhere.
Yeah, and she didn't say anything with the pictures.
No.
And then one of our other neighbors, that's our friend, she goes "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she goes, "Yes, they came in sometime between, was it 10:30 p.m. and 11:49 p.m."
Oh.
And
Very cryptic.
Yeah, it was weird. And then she also just said, "Everybody, just be safe out there, and watch what's going on or whatever." And so, kind of picking it apart, she says her apartment got broken into.
Yeah.
But that's not really how you would normally say. It's not you usually post the pictures and say, "Oh my God, somebody broke into my place. I'm missing my laptop and this and that."
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was more somebody broke in, and then she later said, "Oh, they must have been looking for money." And then she also said she thought that they came in over her balcony.
Yeah.
And then also there was a bunch of keys in a bag.
There's a bunch of random things.
Yeah, but she posted a picture does anybody knows what this is? And that the robber or something had left a bag of keys there.
Yeah.
And so very strange how it was
Very
all
strange.
reported. And so then the next morning, since it was late, our landlord chimes in and he was like, "Let me check the cameras," because we have a camera outside of our apartment building. We have one in the hallway when you walk it, right in the front door.
Yeah.
And
Right when you walk there.
and our front door is a keypad one. You have to have the code to get into the building
Yeah.
and to get into the door. And so he sends this short clip of this guy, and there's 4 different cameras. I think there's one up on the roof too,
Yeah,
and something,
there's a
and there's
couple
one in the
random.
basement. And this guy just walks you can see him walking down the street, and he beelines and just goes in between these 2 cars, just wearing long sleeve shirt, pants. He had a hat on, and you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it just watching it live. But I slowed it down and looked at it, and he turned his head side, and he was wearing a mask, like a COVID mask.
Yeah.
But he walked right up to our door, didn't enter the code,
Nope.
pushes it open, and then it looked like he did something behind the door. And then that's when our landlord, he didn't give any more of the video. And I'm like, why wouldn't you give us the rest of the video?
We want to see his face.
Yeah.
We want to see the rest.
And
or
he
his
said,
hat.
he's like, "Oh, these guys are professionals, and they're covering, their face or whatever."
They know
And
what they're doing.
yeah. And then so I asked, I said, "Hey, can you send another video so maybe we can recognize this guy? Maybe it's, somebody that hangs around in the neighborhood or something."
Yeah.
And he sent a little bit more. It wasn't super helpful, but he did send a video of the guy leaving, and he leaves with a bag, kind of like a reusable grocery bag.
Right.
And you could tell that there was some stuff in there.
Yeah, definitely. It was full of something.
So the guy then leaves and then tries to come back.
Yeah.
And he's fucking with the door for it seemed like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a good amount of time, and he couldn't get back in.
Can't get in. Don't know the code.
Yeah.
No.
And then leaves. So we're playing CSI here.
We love this kind of stuff. We love any kind of true murder,
Yeah,
robbery,
true crime
kind of thing.
Yeah, so we're like concocting this theory. And so first of all, it seemed very weird that and I'm coming up with all this shit. Like at first the landlord, I said, I think he did something to the door. Cause you know, on the inside of a locked door, like you have that little thing on the knob where you can twist it and it locks
little
it.
Lock knob, yeah.
So there is a little one on our door. And I know that if you twist that, it disengages the door code. You can just push the door open.
Right.
Because at first everyone was thinking, oh, like, because he just walked in, he didn't do the door code, so somebody didn't shut the door all the way. That's what they were saying. I was like, I don't know. In the video,
it's a pretty hefty door.
I'm zooming in, I'm CSIing this shit, and I'm zooming in, and you can see that it looks like he twists something.
Yeah.
To like disengage the door or re-engage the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what I'm thinking is somebody is in on this.
Yeah.
And because the girl that posted it, that her apartment was broken into, she didn't say anything was or what was missing.
Mm-mm.
She said he was probably looking for money. She never said a word after that.
Yeah.
You know, like didn't say like, oh my God, like, da, da, da. It was just weird that she seemed more, everybody be safe out there and da da da.
Yeah.
Like instead of being like, oh my God, my place.
Kind of deflected, like maybe, didn't she say, or maybe someone else said, he probably tried all the doors.
Yeah.
Like every single door. And we're like, no, because a lot of us were home. I was home. You were just getting home around that time. There was a few other girls in the building that we talked to. They were home. There's no way. And a lot of them have dogs. Their dogs would lose their minds if someone tried to open their door.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we're a very secure building. So some of us do. We, leave the door open because we're about to take the dog out or,
yeah,
whatever.
but it was not like, because when we leave it open, it like stays open. The whole door stays open.
Right.
But it wasn't like that. But yeah, you're right. So it's like it wasn't like he was just trying doors in the neighborhood to see what buildings he could get into. This dude knew where he came right there. And then
our building.
And then, as you said, like other people are suggesting that he was just trying doors because he was in our building for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because we saw the video of him leaving with the timestamp and everything. But I think he went straight up to the penthouse, which is weird. Why, if you're a robber, why would you go to the furthest away apartment unless you knew something? And then the other thing, just watching all these murder shows.
Yeah.
The way he, like, okay, so if you're going in, you're looking for stuff. I know obviously there's exceptions to all these rules, but the way the place was just tossed, it looked like they were looking for something specific.
Something very specific.
Usually if you have your laptop, camera, phone, like whatever, things of value, they're typically sitting out. This isn't a place where you have your precious jewels and your nightstand and they're looking for them or whatever. These are
like electronics.
Yeah, and these are all studio apartments.
Yeah.
So
we don't have anything
that
big.
seemed very weird. So I think that he went up there looking for something specific, and that's why he just trashed the place.
Agreed.
So our conspiracy theory is that her and her boyfriend or husband or something either were selling drugs or they just had a large amount of money or something, and somebody knew about it. Yeah. And the other fishy thing is the keys. When she had posted that picture, our landlord goes, that is our maintenance guys. It's the bag of keys. And he's like, but he has nothing to do with it. It wasn't him.
And the keys they were not to our building.
Not all of them.
Another building.
I mean, like, we don't know. Like he said
that's what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said. Who knows? Because, we don't know what they
didn't really look like our keys. They look kind
of specific. And it was in like a Louis Vuitton bag, right?
Yeah, like a little clutch. Really
Which is weird. Why does our maintenance guy have all these keys in the Louis Vuitton bag? And why were they in her apartment?
Yeah.
So I love our maintenance guy. I'm not trying to accuse him whatsoever. But this is my conspiracy theory. Just with the facts, just with the evidence.
Just with what we got.
What we got.
The bullet points.
So I think possibly maybe he disengaged the door, so turned the little thing, so then this robber guy could just walk right in. And the time that he came in, they said that they left at 10:30, but this guy came in at 10:22.
Yeah.
So maybe she was just a little confused at the time. But let's just say, benefit of the doubt.
Such a short window.
But maybe, well, no, it was. I mean, 45 minutes being in an apartment.
No, just for him to know specifically, because the girl said we were out at dinner. So exactly when you were out at dinner, pretty late. I mean, I know it's Mexico, but between 10 and 11:30, that's really late to eat dinner. And he knew exactly when they were going to be gone. Yeah, so it seemed like somebody was watching or he was watching. So we think, he beelined right for it, knew exactly. He knew that he didn't try the door. He just opened the door. And then, like I said, you see him turn and reach around and he turns the thing. I think he was re-engaging the lock. Then
goes up to the apartment, directly up there, is looking for whatever he's looking for,
Yeah.
tosses the whole place,
Mm-hmm.
finds it, and then puts it in this bag and then leaves. Then remember how I was saying he came back to the door.
Yeah.
I think possibly maybe the maintenance guy, or maybe he stole them from the maintenance guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think he had those keys. Either he was given them or he took them and left them in the apartment by mistake.
Yeah.
That's why he came back and then said, fuck, I locked the door again to like re-engage the lock so nobody
Yeah.
would notice. So he was like, fuck, I left those keys. That's why he tried for so long, because he's like, shit, that's evidence that like I'm in connection with, the maintenance guy or something like that. So I don't know. It just all seems very fishy.
seems
And the
really
fact
weird.
that she's not like, didn't seem super concerned. Oh, they're probably looking for money.
We would be freaking out.
Yeah.
We would be losing our minds.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed, and I'm sure she's talking to our landlord more, than in the group, but it just seems very odd.
Yeah. Really fishy, really fishy.
They just moved in like a month ago.
Yeah, they just moved in recently. So
Mhm.
I feel like it was somebody that knew, and maybe the maintenance guy, he comes into our place, when we're here, but he comes into our place. So he knows what everybody has in the
Yeah.
building and stuff. So maybe he saw something, like maybe he kind of knew maybe they were drug dealers, or
Yeah.
maybe he knew they had a bunch of money for whatever, because a lot of people don't, like, a lot of the local Mexicans don't, they'll use the bank, but they don't have like an ATM card. Whenever you go to the bank, you see huge lines outside of the bank because they wait to go cash their checks or just get cash out. They don't like use credit and debit cards. So maybe these people had a bunch of money just in their apartment because they didn't feel safe putting it in the bank or
Yeah,
something.
they knew.
Yeah, I don't know. Very sketchy, but our landlord is great. He changed the door so you can't do the little locky
Yeah,
unlocky
changed it
thing.
immediately.
He's putting in more cameras and stuff, but we lived here almost 2 years and that's never happened.
Yeah. I don't think, I will say, like, our maintenance guy, he leaves his toolbox here because it's probably the buildings, but then he adds stuff to it. I wonder if that little purse with the keys was in there. Since it's not for a building, maybe he keeps it at this one and like vice versa. So maybe whoever, came in, they knew that and went downstairs first and like, found the keys
Yeah,
and
maybe
then
just
thought they would work, or
Yeah,
I don't
looking
know.
by mistake, or maybe he just found the keys and then figured who's going to have the most money. Probably the person living in the penthouse.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe he just went up there.
Yeah.
They're smart. So
Or maybe that's a different way of robbery here. They start from the top instead of the ground level where a lot of commotion might be. They go straight up,
yeah,
hit that, and then work their way down. But it just seemed too specific.
Yeah.
Remember, we were like analyzing the photos. We're like, those drawers are set up. and
yeah. Because
they were-
I watched one murder show and it was how they caught the murderer. What it was like a husband and wife, and I think the wife or something was murdered, and the husband, I think he said he was either tied up or he wasn't there or something, and they're like the place was robbed and ransacked, and he kind of blamed it on the robbers.
Yeah.
But the way that the drawers for the dresser were out,
Mhm.
the top drawer was out the furthest, then the middle drawer was out a little bit further. It was like staggered,
Yeah.
But that's the way they caught the husband, was it was staged, because that's not the way you would like rifle through a drawer. You
Right.
would pull the bottom one out first, go through that, the top one, or if you did go through the top one, that one would have to be shut
Pushed
more
in
so
to
you
open.
could see in the other one.
Yeah.
So he fucked up that way. So the little things like that. So that's what.
There were like shoes.
Yeah,
in the
and we
middle
were
of the
like,
floor.
why is the chair in the middle of the floor? That
Chair.
doesn't make sense.
It was all really, really
yeah,
strange.
super suspect. But
So yeah, we don't want anything to happen to anyone. We don't want, especially in our building, but we love the true
Yeah.
crime.
and also,
detectives.
yeah, it's just like a lot of it's just being self-aware and stuff. But yeah, and so we're pretty aware. We always lock our doors, and we have a camera inside the apartment, basically for Tiger, just
Yeah.
to watch and make
But
sure
you
he's
never
okay.
know.
Yeah, you never know. So lock your doors, motherfuckers.
Yeah. So that was kickoff for our weekend.
And then it continued on, which you probably seen, and we talked a little bit about it on Top 3 yesterday. It is actually, the story has continued. So we'll just start from the beginning with it. So I think last week, Tiger started to like kind of blink his eye a lot, and it was water, and he was keeping it closed.
Yeah.
And we're
Like,
thinking,
oh, poor buddy.
yeah, we're thinking maybe he got some sand in it, or,
poked your eye,
poked
scratched
it or something. Yeah. And my dad is an eye doctor, or he's retired now. So we were asking him, like, what should we do? And so he recommended some drops we could just buy over the counter just to help
which
him.
he normally does, because this has happened to Tiger before. He gets, he has those big puggy eyes,
Mm-hmm.
so you got to put some drops in him. Sometimes he might like poke it, or when he would roughhouse with Pharaoh, it happens.
Yeah.
So he's often recommended drops for
Yeah.
us.
So we were given the drops, and It just didn't seem like it was getting better. It was a couple days where we're like, okay, like at first we're like, it's a corneal scratch or something or sand in it, but it just wasn't getting any better. And he wasn't like trying to scratch it. That's what my dad said. He's like, if he's trying to itch it with his paw, then he has something in there probably. Otherwise, it might just be a scratch from poking it or whatever, So we took him into the vet because it wasn't getting any better, and the vet put some junk in his eyes and looked in it like with this black light thing. It was kind of cool.
It was cool. The green like fluid and turned off the lights. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. And she goes, oh yeah, it has a corneal ulcer. So he has an ulcer on his eyeball.
Tiniest little thing. She showed me because you were holding him this time.
Was it tiny? I mean, you could see it though.
I could see it. It was tiny. Right in the middle of his eye. It looked like a little C curve, like a little banana shape in the middle of his eye.
Yeah. I was just holding him. And so she said, she gave us like 3 different drops and some ointment.
So, like, she's like, antibiotics. We're going to start with antibiotic drops and that ointment, vitamin A, these different things. This is what you're going to have to put in his eye at home. We're already like, okay. That's
great.
Going to be easy.
And that's not just the 3 drops in the ointment. The ointment is we had to put on every evening before he went to bed. The one of the eye drops we had to give every 12 hours. And then the other 2 eye drops we had to alternate every hour.
Yep.
So literally from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., we were giving a drop every hour. And we had the best alarm. We set an alarm on our phones.
We tried to make it fun because it was like, we were like, we're going to lose our minds doing this every hour.
Yeah.
So.
And what song did you set for your alarm?
The first song I thought of was Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger.
I think by the second day, Tiger was like, turn that fucking song off.
Oh, yeah.
He was so annoyed.
Yeah, because he'd be sleeping and it'd be like, dun, 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 dun.
It's like definitely the ramp up and then the chorus. He has time to look at me like,
yeah, he would just lean up his head and be like,
again. We're like, we're sorry, buddy. We're so sorry.
Poor guy. So we were doing that, and literally, like, and we went to the beach one day, and we decided not to take him, just because we thought, eye issue, we'll keep him out of the sun and stuff. So we had the alarm set, and we live at the end of our street is the beach. It's like 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
So we had a deal. We alternated hours. So when the alarm would go off, I would run up to our apartment, give him the drop, come back, and next hour, then you would do the same.
Yep, it was like a relay race.
Yeah, and oh my god, we did that for like, I mean, a couple days, right? Five days, I think.
That first day was hilarious because we were, like you said, at the beach with friends, and they're like, "Okay, bye,
Yeah.
hi, okay, bye, hi." We're just like alternating. Let's go in the water. Hurry up, do this, do that, have a beer.
Be right back.
It was fun.
And so we did that, and she said, "Come back in a few days, just to like let's see the progress."
Yeah,
and
a couple of days.
So we did, and we went back in, and she said, just to make sure it was shrinking.
Yes.
And she looked at it and said, "It looks like it's getting smaller. It's working.
Yeah, it's
everything's
healing.
good."
Good
She's like,
job.
"Just make sure he's not scratching. Do you have a cone?" And we thought we had a cone, but we didn't at the time.
Didn't bring it.
And
Forgot it.
and he wasn't scratching though. He was just like. He was just out.
Yeah.
Like he was just kind of laying around.
Because giving them the CBD.
Yeah, we were giving him a little bit of CBD and whatnot. And then he's also on prednisone because of his collapsing trachea to keep him from coughing. Because he coughs like every 15 minutes pretty bad if we don't give it to him. Yeah. So we told her about it, and she knew that. And so we said, well, she said, maybe like see if you can do the prednisone a little bit less because I guess prednisone keeps you from healing.
Yeah. Ulcers specifically too. So
yeah.
It's not gonna it's gonna slow the healing process. Ease back on the prednisone, which we did, but we still were giving him a little. So
yeah, so that was the next day when we went back in and everything looked good, or looked like it was getting smaller.
Yep.
Then the following day, like there was a little bit of whiteness, kind of like a cataract-y looking thing in the middle.
Cloudy.
But then the following day, it was like it looked like it was pooling at the bottom of his eye. Yeah. And it was starting to like protrude out his eyelid.
Yeah.
And so you were doing something. I don't know if you were at the gym or running or something. And I was messing you. I was like, this does not look good. Mm-hmm. Like we need to go in and get it checked out.
Pictures. I was like, holy shit. He looks like a X-Men or something.
Yeah,
like
it was like,
was
but
like
you could see like the liquid at the bottom. So I'm like, this is not right. Yeah. Like something is wrong. It's filling up with fluid. Whether it's fucking eyeball. Oh, and that was the thing. The first time we went in, the vet said, do not let him scratch because he can pop his eyeball and it will like all the gunk will come out and
pretty much open. The ulcer, it's like healing.
And so you'll lose the
God.
eye. So
we're like, what? His eyeball? I didn't know such a thing could happen. I mean, obviously, but she's like, his eyeball can spill out. We're like, great, super.
So when we took him in, and he's closing his eye because it hurts, and he was opening it a little bit more the previous day when it was getting better.
Yeah.
But when it started to look worse and he was keeping it closed again, we took him in because I was like, we got to figure this out.
I sent him some photos on WhatsApp. Thank God our vet. That's the best thing here about Mexico.
You can talk directly to the doctor. You don't have to call a front desk chick that talks to a nurse who relays the message.
I immediately sent them pictures, was like, can you please pass these to Dr. Karina? Something's getting worse. Immediately they messaged back and was like, we'll see you soon. Like, get here, so we got there.
Yeah. And so we bring him into the exam room, and she opens his eye and she kind of steps back, and she's a pretty talkative person. And she was like, she was taken aback.
Yeah.
She goes, This is not good.
This is not good.
This is really, really bad.
Yeah. And we love her. She's very precise, very matter of fact.
Yeah. And so she was like, was he scratch? No, he wasn't scratching at all. He was zonked out from the CBD. And we're like, no. She goes, we need to rush him into surgery right now, or he can lose his eye. We need to try to save his eye. Oh my God.
We're freaking out right there. We're like, okay, I'm glad we came. They're prepping him for surgery. She's taking his blood right there. We're holding him. He's putting in the little catheter and all the stuff. We're just like, this is happening so fast. And we're just looking at each other like, oh my God. And she's like, we will do our best to save the eye and let you know. We're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Hurry, please.
Yeah.
So,
and then we found out that the white stuff, it wasn't from cataracts. It was pus. It was literally pus filling his eye. So luckily we took him in right away, and they acted so quickly because she said it could have popped or whatever. And there's so much bacteria and stuff in there. It could have, gotten a lot worse.
If anyone's ever in Mexico, Sanimal Vet and in Playa Car. They're the best. Ask for Dr. Karina.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic.
They're amazing.
So we met the surgeon guy before we gave him to him, and he said,
Dr. Paco.
Yeah, they're like, we'll call you. So they didn't even say come back in 2 hours or whatever. And we don't have a car.
Yeah.
So we walk over to the mall and we go to the food court and we sit down at a restaurant, and it was not a good meal. I mean, the food was good, but you couldn't really eat anything because we were so worried about what was going on. So we're killing time, and it's been 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
We're not being annoying. We want to give him enough time,
But then I'm thinking okay, so what if he had passed in the because he's almost 14.
Yeah.
They're putting him under. That's another thing to worry about as well.
Exactly.
So we're like, what if he passed on the operating table? And that's why they're not calling us yet, because they're trying to figure out what to say to us and how to approach it or whatever. So we were terrified. So we go back in and we sit down in the waiting room, and we hear this.
We're
Wee! Wee!
a little piggy. You're like, no. That's him.
You were like, I think that's him. And I was like, no. And then we heard a little bit more, and I was like, no. And then you were like, that's him. And so I'm
you hear him
yeah,
his,
it's just
frustrated.
That's if you've ever seen a pug get their nails cut, he doesn't really do that. He's very good, but
there's videos online that
they sound like a child screaming.
It sounds like a woman screaming. It's hilarious and terrifying at the same time. I'm so glad he doesn't squeal like that normally. But when they come out of the anesthesia, they're confused, and you just hold them, and that's what happens.
I had to walk outside because I thought he was getting some kind of operation where at that time where he wasn't getting he didn't have enough anesthesia or numbing agents or whatever, and he was in pain. So I was like, I can't listen to this. So I had to go outside. Yeah. And we thought it wasn't him for a while. We thought, maybe it was a cat, because a cat came walking out the fucking back for some reason.
Yeah, meowing. We're like, okay, hello.
And then we get back in there, and they confirmed it was him, but it was just him waking up. So I felt a little bit better about that.
But he was so happy to see us.
He was still a little drunk, and you probably saw the pictures we posted online. But
so sad. Oh my God, break our hearts.
Yeah, and it was him, and he has a stitch in his eye. And what they had done is, which I'm glad that they tried to save it, and they weren't just like, just take it out. It's a dog,
It's easier.
So what they did was, dogs have a third eyelid, kind of I guess sharks and frogs and stuff, but it's not see-through like those animals. It's that pink thing.
Yeah.
And it will come across their eye every now and then. You might see it. So what he did was, he told us he he said the front of the cornea, the first couple, because I guess it's a bunch of layers, like the corneal lens is layers. He said it was liquefied because it was so damaged, like the first few layers.
Yeah.
So he like cleared that off, scraped that off, and then put some like kind of like little scrapes in the good part of the cornea. And then he pulled the third eyelid across the eye to use it as a natural bandage. And I guess it'll also help oxygenate and regenerate cells and white blood cells and stuff, and get it to heal and healthy.
Freaking amazing.
Yeah. So
we were like, what?
Yeah, I was like, I never heard of this. But
Thank you for doing this to our pug.
yeah, so he put a stitch to hold that eyelid across the eye. So, and then also he'd put a stitch to keep his eyelid shut.
Yeah.
Or his eyelid shut, but open enough so we can still put the drops in.
It's like half closed. Yeah.
Right. And
which is just beautiful.
Yeah, so like and he's like, oh, you just open it up and you put the drops in and you can see it and it just looks pink and stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, I told you, I was like, I would be the worst nurse, and you go, yeah, you would be.
Yeah, you would.
Like, all right, fuck you.
You were like, bye, I'm walking out. I couldn't do it either. Like, it's him, for Tiger, obviously, your baby, you're my own baby. I don't care. I'll clean up his poop, his puke, I'll wipe it, whatever. I'll stitches, I don't care. If it was someone else's dog, I would be very squeamish. I don't know. And they're just manhandling Tiger, like, gently. But, we're like, be gentle with him. They're being so rough. But
that's why I'd be a bad
really
nurse, because I don't want him to be in any pain, which I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it probably, if you're in the medical field, you're like, you're going to be in some kind of pain.
Yeah.
You'd rather be in this little pain, in the short run than be in a lot of pain in the long run.
They're probably looking at us like, oh, you pansies. And
Yeah.
we're just like, oh, my God, my baby, be gentle. He's a fragile little flower.
Oh, and then this is the best part. After he gives us like a couple more drops, and he says, oh, you just have to open up the eyelids a little bit, and he did, and it's like you can see the pink and blah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a lot.
And so he's telling us how to do that, and he was like, stop giving the prednisone. That could have possibly been the reason that it reinflamed.
Yeah.
So he stopped doing that. He goes, do you smoke? And I was like weed? And he goes, yeah. And this is our vet talking to us, and the surgeon.
First we talked about CBD.
Yeah.
So we were like, we already have the CBD for him.
Yeah.
He's like, give it to him.
Yeah, he's like, do you smoke? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, do you get good stuff? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, put a little bit in a cup, and you can put either rum or vodka in it, put it in the microwave, and heat it up, and then you can get a dropper and drop that into his mouth, and it'll give him the THC and a little bit of alcohol, I guess, for the painkiller.
I guess the alcohol pulls the THC from the bud, and then once it cools down, obviously.
Yeah, it's like a tincture.
Yeah,
but
it's like give him a couple drops on his little nose or lips, and then he'll lick it, and he'll feel great.
Never in my wildest dreams would I think that I would be talking to my vet about smoking weed and making pot concoctions in the microwave for my pup.
We're like, we're just trying to follow him. He's given us all these instructions for weed, and we're just like,
oh yeah,
wait, what?
These vets must party, because when we went back for the checkup after the surgery the next day, the other vet, Dr. Karina, she was asking how he's doing, said it's looking great, it's getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, not getting better, but it didn't get worse.
She's like, keep
doing
what
what
you're
you're
doing.
And I was showing her the pictures of him on CBD, the THC CBD,
Yeah.
because our CBD actually has THC in it, I think.
Yeah.
Because it fucks him up. And I got it from my weed dealer, so I didn't buy it at a store.
But it's good stuff. We tried it. We liked it.
Yeah.
We're like, okay.
And so I show her the picture of him, like, all fucked up on it, and she goes, he's on a trip. And then she goes, I miss those trips.
She's like staring off his face. Like, I miss this trip.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was great.
So funny.
But thank you everyone that
Yes.
sent us messages of support and love and concern. We can't thank you enough. I know to some people it might just be our dog, but we don't have any kids, and it's a living thing that we've been taking care of for 14 years.
14 years. I've had him since he was 8 weeks old. Like he's been with us,
And I will never say that taking care of a dog is as hard as having children, because I know that's one of the hardest jobs, but children grow up at least. I mean, dogs, they got to go to the bathroom, they got to eat, they got to drink. The basic necessities of life you have to do for them every fucking day. We got to, cut his hair, brush his teeth, do that. Like, I mean, it's like having a baby for fucking 14 years.
And I feel like he was a baby, and then he grew into self-sufficient adult, quote unquote, and then now he's going back to baby age again because
Yeah.
he's a little old man.
Yeah, but thank you everyone so much.
Thank you so much. Like like you said, I know we're probably freaking out more, but that's a big deal. And his big beautiful eyes.
Yeah, and then losing Pharaoh sudden. So that's I remember saying that in the vet. I've always questioned: is it worse to lose a dog suddenly, so you don't have that angst of it happening slowly, or is it worse to have a dog slowly decline and where you see them going through pain? I think, me personally, I would rather lose them suddenly and a quick little pain. Like Pharaoh kind of just collapsed and died, and they said he really didn't go through pain or much pain at all. But just watching Tiger go through this, I would rather,
hard.
Yeah, I would rather watch or have them not go through a lot of pain than watch them slowly decline and live.
Yeah.
Really, that's why I want to die when I'm like 65 or 70 or something.
Stop it.
I don't want to live to be 100 and me shit my pants and I'm you wiping my butt and my mouth and
you can't die. Your dad's 70. You're not going to die before 70. I'll keep.
Got to
you
go
alive.
out when you're on top.
I'm gonna have to keep you and Tiger alive forever. I'll do it. I can take the job.
You could. You're great. Thank you.
No, but thank you everybody. We really really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's all the messages we got. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that other people do care, and we post a lot about Tiger,
Yeah.
so I feel like a lot of people feel like that's there, and a lot of people have met Tiger.
A lot of people have met Tiger.
It's everybody's dog. He's a
Yeah.
communal puppy.
Even like our neighbors here and people in our building, like Tiger touches everyone's heart. They all know him and ask about him, and sometimes people don't recognize us at the same bar we go to all the time, but as soon as we have Tiger with us, Tigre, like he's
Yeah.
that guy. So we get it, and I know pretty much everyone that listens, they're animal people, cats, dogs, any kind. We all understand.
And if you're not, you have no soul.
I hate dogs. I hate cats. Who says that?
Nobody.
No,
just psychos. Just kidding. All right. Well, yeah, that was this past weekend.
Get the sad out of the way.
My mom is in town, so hopefully we have a little bit more fun this weekend.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tiger's happy his grandma's here, so she brought him a bunch of goodies and
and
stuff.
our wagon from
Yes.
Georgia, like our collapsible wagon. So now when Tiger gets real old, we can drag him around in it.
Yeah, I'm excited to use that. It was in our storage and we've barely used it, so I'm excited for the beach and
Yeah, because we got it. I don't know, $40 or something, $40-$50.
Yeah, you got a great deal on
I was thinking,
Facebook.
Facebook Marketplace, and they're like $200 here, so
Yeah.
it's definitely worth it to bring it down.
I'm gonna take that sucker to the grocery store.
Ooh, yeah, could be that person.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get to some listener questions. Lex, you want to grab the first one?
Yep. All right. First listener question. What's the Mayan train? I've been seeing some advertisement for it on Facebook, and that is from Cindy M. That's a good question. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
going on
it is
now.
a big topic of conversation here. The Mayan train, or the train Maya, is I guess it's been proposed. It's one of those things that you hear about like in cities or government or whatever, that they've been proposing this thing for. Oh, they've been talking about building that second high school for 40 years.
Yeah,
or whatever.
like, it's probably been a decade.
Yeah,
Let's
so
bring the train.
this is one of those projects that we've been hearing about forever. But I guess the current president of Mexico like really buckled down and said, we're getting this shit done.
Yeah, expedite it. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's basically a train, kind of like what they've been proposing in Florida with like the Sun Rail, and then there's like some other rails that they're trying to get to go around Florida to make it easier to get around.
Another great way of public transportation to get around Mexico. They love their public transportation here, and it's all really good.
And so this is a train that's basically going around the Yucatan Peninsula, and it's been, I think they started it in 2018, and it's supposed to be done this December. Fingers crossed. Some people hate it. It's a very controversial topic here.
Yeah, you're either for it or against it.
I from what I know, I think I'm for it, but I also don't know a ton about it, so I'm sure I could be educated more for somebody that opposes it. People that oppose it say, "Oh, you're ruining the jungle." Yeah, but they've also found, I think, like 1,500 or 15,000 pieces of Mayan artifacts, whether it's like old villages or pieces of pottery or whatever,
just from building this train rail
so,
through the jungle.
And it's not super like the tracks. It's like a double track or whatever going through the jungle, where I'm like, there's like millions and millions of acres of jungle in the Yucatan. Most of it's jungle. So I mean, there's highways and hotels and shit. Is everybody raising on like, up in arms about that?
Right. And we're all for the trees and not chopping down the jungle. But from what we've seen, and we've traveled around the Yucatan a little bit, they're doing a minimal chopping. It's like a raised platform, and it seems
in
just
some
like,
locations.
Yeah, but it seems like most of what we've seen.
Like people are worried about the cenotes and stuff, so I think in those locations they raise it so it's not like right on the ground.
Yeah.
But
it looks great.
But if you're worried about the environment, also this thing is, if you just look at the highway and how many taxis and buses and transfers and all these of people coming in Cancun, and they have to get a taxi or a bus down to Tulum or down to Playa del Carmen or wherever. It's, there's so much pollution just from those cars running up and down the highway every day. But this is going to go from, I don't know all the stops, but it will go from the Cancun airport. And that's the other thing. It costs like $60-$70 to get like a taxi from the Cancun airport to Playa del Carmen, because it's like an hour ride.
Yeah.
So this I assume will be far cheaper.
Yeah.
And you can just jump on in Cancun. So it's going to Cancun, Playa del Carmen. It'll go down to Tulum, all the way or through Bacalar down to Chetumal, which is the capital of our state, and it's right on the border of Belize. Then it's going to go across and then go into Chiapas and Tabasco, I think, a little bit. There's just like two little outskirt stations that's going to go there. Yeah. And then it's going to circle back up and go through Campeche and Merida, and I think maybe Valladolid, and then back around. So it's a big loop around the Yucatan, which will be great because there's so many cool Mayan ruins.
Many cool places.
Yeah, and just like those cities are beautiful. We rented a car to go through all of them, and they were just really, really cool colonial villages.
I see the train as a positive thing. It's going to create a crap ton of jobs for everybody, which they need more jobs here, not, doing the same thing. And also, it won't put as much pressure on the major cities, overloading Cancun, Playa, Tulum, and it will give these other, smaller towns and cities a chance to actually get some tourism and make some money.
Yeah.
Not like an overabundance, but it'll space everybody out because, everybody knows the same. Everyone goes to Cancun, Playa, Tulum, you go to the same ones. This way you can have a easier way of accessing them all, and it'll be fun too. Yeah. I can't wait to see the scenery while you're on the train. That's gonna be amazing.
That'll be fun as well.
Yeah.
The only two downsides that I do feel is there's some of the cities like Bacalar, which is beautiful little, it's a small town. Yeah. I'm worried about these small towns. It's great that they're going to be getting more money in tourism for the people, but I'm worried that it's going to ruin those cities. Because Playa, when I first started coming here, it was a fishing village.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still, somewhat touristy, but it was kind of the journey to get there. Like and that's the same thing with like some of these villages and then some of these Mayan ruins. Some of the best Mayan ruins we've been to are the ones that are off the beaten path and aren't the super touristy ones. Are they going to get not ruined, but like oversaturated with tourists?
I think these different cities, they need to understand, like, put these rules in place to now to protect your infrastructure, like the trash and the cars, and make your rules now for these tourists before they just come and ruin everything. Yeah. Like Bacalar Use, for example, that lagoon is so gorgeous. As soon as a bunch of people come with sunscreen or
just like developers building big hotels and stuff. Right now it's like kind of little hotels and little like kind of shacks and stuff.
You're worried it's going to lose the charm,
right? Exactly, and just ruin. And it's a second world country, so those kind of things like putting these rules and forward thinking isn't always on the forefront. It's like we're not thinking about tomorrow. We're trying to live. We're trying to like survive today. Like a lot of the trash that we see in some of the smaller villages, that we're like, how can they do this? Like, how can they make their jungle so like, full of trash and stuff? And you got to keep in mind, these people are trying to survive. Yeah. They're, raising their own livestock to live, and they have to drive to the city to sell their, wares and stuff. They don't give a fuck. They're not thinking about 50 years, 100 years from now. They're thinking about, do I have enough food and water or whatever to support my family.
Yeah.
So
true.
Yeah. So anyway, hopefully if you're coming down December or after, that is up and running, and you'll be able to just hop on and go explore some more beautiful places in Mexico.
We can meet people, places. We're excited.
100%. And that's the other thing. A lot of listeners that will come or two peers that are in maybe Cancun or Tulum or whatever. It's kind of they'll say, hey, I'm in town, buddy. Like, let's meet up. And I would love to meet up, but you're an hour away from me and I don't have a car.
Yeah.
So this will be far easier. Hopefully we can just maybe they'll do like monthly passes so we can, we can ride the train for a month or whenever. So we can just pop up and down, whatever. So
I wonder if Tiger can come on the train. I hope so. They would probably let pets. There's probably like a pet car.
Maybe, or maybe a size limit or something. Hopefully. But yeah,
Tiger?
good question, Cindy.
Very good. All right, next question. This is from Tim C. Are y'all in Central or the Eastern time zone? I swear I saw you were on Central, but my cousin just said you're an hour behind.
Yeah.
Good question, Tim.
Yeah, Tim.
I'm confused as well.
Yeah,
so
well,
you take that one.
Yeah. So the great thing about our stay at Quintana Roo is we don't not celebrate. We don't recognize daylight savings time. Our technical time zone is Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
The East Coast of the U.S. is Eastern Standard Daylight Savings or Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
Oh, God.
So we are technically on Eastern time, but we do not change. So being that y'all change up in the States, we shift between Central and Eastern time zones. Yep. So 6 months out of the year, we're on Central, 6 months we're on Eastern, but we don't change at all. So we're like the Arizona or the Indiana of the U.S. We say, fuck it. But we still have to pay attention to it because everybody else is changing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So right now, yes, we are on Central technically. I mean, we're aligned with the U.S. Central time zone. But then when y'all spring forward, fall, what would be the next one?
Yeah. Fall forward.
No.
Fall
well,
back.
it's fall back, spring forward. But
yeah.
what have we changed recently? Are we we're spring now, right?
Yeah, I think
or are we
we
summer?
changed already.
Did we?
Did
I
we?
don't fucking know.
Yeah, it was like around March or something.
Yeah. Did it? Nah, I don't know.
Maybe not.
Yeah, we'll have to look that. Somebody tell us. But when y'all change, then we will be on the Eastern time zone for 6 months out of the year.
I just tell my mom, "Hey, Mom, I'm an hour behind you again." She's like, "Okay."
Yeah. And Tim, the easiest way to do it is Google what time is it in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah. Actually, our phones, I don't know why, but my phone always says like local time, so I know what time everyone else is on, and then it says home time, and then it's our home.
Yes. Oh yeah, you're right. So we changed, or y'all changed, March 12th.
Okay, yeah.
So
it's usually like March and September, isn't it?
Yeah, or it says daylight savings time in the U.S. March 12th through November 5th.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, there's a question. We can be back and forth, so you kind of have to check if you're looking. All right, next one, last one.
Last question. How did you bring Tiger down to Mexico? What did you need? And that's from Jackie J. I think I know this Jackie J.
Well, so I can't. Usually, it's the airlines that have the rules and the restrictions.
You have to look at the airline, what their rules are for
Mexico,
pets and then the country.
Even though they said they didn't require anything, they do check their health certificate when we come in.
Yeah, they check it and they check him.
Yeah.
They give him a little look over.
So to fly out, so always check with your airline. Check the rules, the carrier size, the breeds, the time. So sometimes in the summer they won't fly with dogs, especially bigger dogs that have to go in cargo.
Yeah, or the short nose like Tiger. They don't let like Frenchies and pugs, and in the summer when it's really hot, they don't like them to fly.
Yeah, but I think that's just under. They can fly in the cabin though, right?
I don't know.
Because it's air conditioned.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know, but so check with your airline because they all have different rules and stuff. I believe Mexico doesn't require like a doggy visa or anything like that,
right.
But you usually get a health certificate from your vet. So get the health certificate from your vet, check what your airline needs. I think with United, that's all we needed. And the health certificate has vaccinations and, just checked out to make sure.
Just to make sure
healthy.
he has his updated vaccinations, rabies, the normal.
So then when you fly into Mexico, you'll go through customs, and then you get your bags, and then there's a little kind of room, at least in Cancun, off to the, well, it was on the left. I think they moved to the right. But anyway, it's right when you're getting ready to walk out the door. You have to go see them, or they will pull you aside and say, hey, you got to come over here. And they'll check your papers, and they just check the dog. And part of it, I think they're looking for their skin to see if they have any kind of infectious
make sure
diseases and stuff.
anything.
But I also think that they're checking because I think like people that smuggle drugs put them inside dogs
And
sometimes.
small dogs.
So they're looking for like stitches and cut marks and stuff.
Tiger and I have been pulled aside many times just, normal airlines flying within the States, and they swab my hands and they make me go through the metal detector with him. And that's what they said. They use like the smaller dogs for as little like drug mules. They make them swallow like the little pods of stuff. So they'll look for any kind of new surgery scars, anything like that. And also to make sure he's healthy,
Yeah,
doesn't have
exactly.
any
So
stuff.
yeah, it's really not too much. And then, but going back to the States when we come visit and bring Tiger, we just have to come to our vet here, get a health certificate, and they kind of do the same thing. They just check him and make sure he's good. And actually, when we get to, and that's just to get out, but when we get to the States, they ask, "Oh, is he American dog?" And we're like, "Yeah, he is." And they're like, "Oh, okay, come on in."
Yeah.
It's like,
They
okay.
could tell chunky pug, he's American. Get him in here.
I don't know. There's a lot of pugs here too.
True. There are.
So that is, so that's it. It's not too difficult, but again, just check with your airline. They're going to have like the final say.
And that's what, that's a really good question. Because even though we went to the vet and asked for the health certificate we just got everything just to make sure. They kept pulling up, Mexico doesn't require a health certificate. I'm like, I still want it. I want it we needed it for the airline, but I also wanted it for, Mexican too.
Right. Good questions. Good questions.
Questions.
All right, Lex, you ready for the Mexican slang of the day?
I am. Let's do it.
All right, today's Mexican slang of the day is chavo.
Chavo.
Chavo or chava.
Chava.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's got to be like male or female, obviously.
Right. Yeah. So
Chava. I don't know.
okay. So this is actually I just saw this recently. This is most commonly used to describe children, adolescents, or young adults in general.
Oh.
So it's similar to saying kid in English.
Oh.
And I actually saw it at a department store, and that's what they had, like in the signs that they'll say like adults or men or whatever. It said chava or chavo, and so it was like the kids section.
Kiddos.
Yeah, so
That's
it's just
cute.
kind of a little slang for that. But so you could say like el chavo sigue en la escuela, so the boy is still in school.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah,
Little niño.
yeah. So it's good term to have.
Yeah.
Talking to the little chavas.
Little chavas. Little kiddos.
Yeah.
I have not learned that on Duolingo,
Duolingo?
yet. I
Oh,
haven't heard that.
Just talking about how if somebody has 1,500 watermelons and
manzanas.
Oh,
No, that was
apples.
the apples.
Oh, okay.
No, that was, yeah.
man.
Wanted his manzanas.
It's like why does everybody eat so many damn apples?
If anyone's on Duolingo, you know my pain. And I know there's like Instagram like memes and jokes about it. But once you pay for it, my best friend, Chrissy, got the family plan. So
get
I'm
the
on
good
it
shit.
with her. You get to move on past Juan's manzanas and niñas. I'm learning everything. So
Nice,
yeah.
very nice. All right, well that is it for this week. Thank you for listening. Again, thank you for your support. Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe. Podcastthebs.com. And if you have any more questions, just make sure you either go to the website or you can go to our Facebook and just post it on there, and we'll answer it on our next episode. Yeah. So, Lex, you got anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations to Sarah and Alec Price. The Prices, they got married this weekend or over last weekend in Colorado, and I just want to say congratulations to them again.
I'm sure everyone knows them.
No, you know.
Yeah, no, I know. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We will catch you next week, and happy Friday, fuckers.
Happy Friday, fuckies.
Get off my lawn! It's old man Kevin, and the BS is done for right now.
Please share, like, and support podcastthebs.com.
Now, get out of here.